yourself 2 or 3 years out and it's not at that price point, then maybe you want to get out. But it's probably going to be worth more than it was when you were first coming up with the plan in the first place and investing in it either way.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see
some
the
strategy.
collectible going backwards. I don't see them going backwards. I see people, and the scariest part that I don't think people are thinking about is they're not advertising yet on purpose. And when that wave of people come in, if whatever percentage of them are able to still invest in the high floors that'll be left available for the stuff they'll like, you know, even if they could get in, man, it's stuff, those next people, I don't see them being the flipper investor types like us early adopters. So you're talking about a supply coming off the market that's literally not going to come back on for a certain amount of time. A year, 2 years.
I love that strategy that Strange mentioned about getting a figure in mind and saying, I'm holding strong until I get that figure. I like that because I that's something I like to do.
Yeah. And then again, there's only 200 people. There's only 200 people listing that collectible. So why are you going to let them dictate your price?
Yeah, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan.
That's a fact too. I mean, like I said, what I see happening is right now we'll see something 200 listed. I've seen it happen already a couple of times, but when waves come in, there's a certain amount that just leave. Like even the most insignificant collectible you're not thinking about, like 10 to 20 will leave and they just don't come back. So it's like how when we hit a new high, when you're hoping that the collectible comes back down again, it just hits a floor that's higher than the last low. And it's the same thing. Like sometimes I'll see the supply eat up and it just doesn't come back. Like there's certain people that come in that are like trying to build a collection. Yeah. And it's hard to fathom that, like, oh my God, you know, this Spider-Man's 800, and it's not even a secret rare, and this is, but there's people willing to grab this stuff, and you just start seeing the floors eat up here, there, and the supply is, you know, I have a feeling we're going to click on certain things and it's not going to be there.
Yeah, they might be sold out. You're right. It might be at a point where you just can't get in.
You're looking at 10, 7 Donnies left, right? At retarded prices, right? None of us would, you know. But at some point, you know, like I see certain comics eating up at a certain rate to where there are other ones that were on the app longer and they're more significant books. This other book, it's close to the supply, the same supply for sale as the book that's been on longer and is a more coveted book. And the price is like way different. So let's say like the significant book is at like $63 and the other one's only at $23. It's scary to think like, okay, if both supplies ate up to where only 100 was left, what would the price be of the coveted book versus this other book? And it's just weird, you know, it's weird. It makes, you know, I'm like, do I invest in that? I don't know. You know, is it a trap? I don't know what happened because we're still in uncharted waters. We don't know what happens when you click on the app and a book that had 30,000 editions, there's only 100 for sale. You don't know what that floor means. What does that floor convert to?
Oh my Lord.
You might have the advantage because you have the collecting experience from the real life comics, right? So you know that without having to go look it up. So you can recognize it probably really quickly in the market compared to someone like us who hasn't seen that. We've done some research, like even the one that dropped yesterday. We know that one's undervalued.
For sure.
The Captain America, right? Sam Wilson. And
hell yeah.
I can't believe what the prices were yesterday. I was scooping them up.
I saw floors that I haven't even seen on a comic drop in a long time. Yeah. But that's the part that really got. I said, wait, was this a 70K drop? Why am I seeing $12 here? I mean, I got a uncommon for $18. I was like, what is going on here?
I texted Rob right away. I said, Rob, you got to pick up this book, the Sam Wilson. It's for sure.
Yeah, man.
How did you do, Rob? My bad. I was going to ask how you did on the drop, on the Captain America drop.
Yeah, I didn't get it, but we look up for that all the time because we have a theory that bots are just selling off right off the bat. So you get some nice opportunities when the market opens. You got to wait though for everybody to get them. You can't go start buying them when only 2,000 of the 10,000 have been issued.
Yeah,
And
I was hearing some
and
conversations saying it's an algorithmic wave.
Yeah.
maybe,
There's
yeah,
actually a pulse that you can tap into with the ebb and flow of how it goes. Exactly what you're saying.
Of how they
yeah.
release it? They release it in waves?
In waves.
Oh,
Yeah, the
Oh,
bots.
wow.
Yeah, you'll
So-
see it'll be like real, like because the thing is they get a high percentage of the initial drops. Like I'm not gonna say a high percentage, but a decent percentage, right? And then like we're left to try and get rebounds. And the thing with rebounds is you don't get them delivered on, you're the last to get them delivered.
yeah.
So pretty much the people that are using bots are going to be the people that are first listing, but they're not. They're the ones they wait until, because you know how like after the drop, you'll see only 8 listed, 9 listed, a couple. Those are real people. And then they'll wait, and then they'll all come in together, but they'll all do one comic each, and those will be weird numbers, 1498, or they pick these weird numbers and they all clump them together, and then you'll see them all get bought up, or they get sold, and then you'll see a wave of real people come in, kind of, and that's where the floor will be a little higher, somewhat, like the book might be 15, 16. Now the floor is going up, and then boom, another wave will come and it'll go back down a little. But you'll see a whole clump of people. Like it's weird. It's really crazy.
You gotta pay attention next time.
Well, if the price is good, and I'm actually curious because you guys are real comic guys. We also have a theory that long term, when more real comic guys show up on this app, they're gonna want the common, because that's the original looking collectible. Do you agree with that, or do you think?
I agree. I agree personally. And to go with the first thing you said, I made a video where I called up some comic book stores, and the last one I called up was the one on Times Square, Midtown Comics. And I mean, this is like the comic book store, And this guy that works there had no idea what VV was, and so it shows that we're so early. And the second part is, yeah, man. I mean, the comment is what attracted me. Strange was like, he was the one that put me onto the app, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna gift you something." And so I went, opened up this app. I'm like, "What is this guy talking about, man?" Opened it up, and he gifted me Marvel 1. It was the day it dropped, right? And I was like, "Oh," because again, and then after that, I obviously, been involved in it. But yeah, man, me personally, I love the comics, man, because this is what I have at home. There's a few comics that I have here that come out, and I want the comic.
All right, that's what we thought, and I'm glad to hear that from someone who actually collects comics and has comics.
Yeah, man.
I would add
Strange.
a
How do you
caveat
feel
to
about
that.
that?
Yeah, I would add a caveat in that even though a lot of comics that they're dropping came out, when I was a kid, there's a lot obviously that they're dropping that was out before I was born. They got stuff from the 60s, a lot of the first issues and stuff. So I don't really have any type of sentimental value to those books. And the main ones that I would have sentimental value with, that I really enjoy collecting, they haven't even scratched the surface with. Like I was big into Punisher War Journal, the Craven the Hunter Spider-Man books I have, the 2 that I have that I actually bought before any announcement was even made. Those are the 2 that I collected when I was a kid, and those 2 weren't even released during this set that they just
really?
Wow.
So, I'm all over the place as far as trying to make any connection with what they've been dropping. So it's not really about that for me, but I do understand the perspective of like the value of the comic cover. With that said, I'm not only an early comic book collector, I was an early investor of sorts. And the investor mind that I have, there were certain times like early on when they were dropping books. One of the X-Men, the House of X, for example, that was like the 3rd or 4th drop or something like that. It was still early where people were like, I don't know how comics are going to be received and one thing I noticed was like, all right, the books prior, Spider-Man, Marvel One, like when it came to these alternate covers, all it really was a matter of like more or less color saturation or usage. And then, okay, the secret rare is totally different. And then I'm looking like, this is the first book where the uncommon is like its own cover, its own theme. Like you're looking at Gambit about to kiss Rogue, like that's crazy. And then the rare is totally different, like it's super cartoonized cover. So I'm like, this is different. So I started actually stacking the uncommon of that book. And that just started opening up my mindset earlier than a lot of people towards kind of trying to figure out, you know, at what point did variation covers become a big thing in the comic book world? Because like when me and Joe were coming up, we weren't big into the variation covers. Like we didn't even have access to it. 9 times out of 10, you didn't even know about it back then. Like
Right.
it was
The variant was like very rare. It was like one per case. You know,
one
if
per
there was
case. And again,
Wow.
when you're walking into a stationery store, you don't even know as a kid there is a case. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That became a thing when you're talking to stores and how, you know, they're ordering cases. So like to tell me there's a book from the 1960s that someone that was born in the 1960s and was a comic book collector is going to see some secret rare of some 1967 something cover, X-Men #4, and be like, oh, that's the one I want. I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, the odds of that person who even collected X-Men #4 being alive and being on Veve right now at 90 something, I don't know. So I think we are the ones that perpetuate the weight that Marvel One has because we give it that weight. It's no real collector that's gonna come onto this app that's gonna be like, thank God they got Marvel #1. I've been waiting to, you know, they'll respect and love, and just like I do, the fact that Veve gave it to us and Marvel gave it to us, but no one's gonna be able to identify with that book
Yeah,
and be like
with their
sentimental.
personal life.
Oh, the cover, and you know. So from an investor standpoint, I just wanted to say all that to say that I still give respect to uncommons, even because of the scale, you know, the mint count. So it also depends on the cover. So if it's an exclusive cover, and you know it has a lower mint than the common, like the House of X, that's why I would stack up, you know, on that one. And then like Powers of X, when you look at the uncommon, that's Storm in all her different iterations throughout the years. And a lot of people sleep on that. They're sitting here hung up on the statue version and a haircut, and they don't realize, like, if you were reading the books and staying up with the times, there's a lot of different iterations of Storm. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you have the version where there's no recognition of her Wakanda, and then you got another one where, you know,
I don't know if they came out with any yet on Veve. I don't think they have, but once they saturate the market with pre-existing comics, I'm sure there's going to be a point where they come out with new comics that have never been printed yet. At that point, the rare's got to be like the rarer rarities got to be a little bit more valuable than they're showing to be now. And maybe when that happens, people will go back and try and pick up some of the rarer covers from previous versions. But like you said, right now, the market's determining how things are, like the small community, because right now we're a small community still. That's what's determining
from each other.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I made a video comparing an investment that I did with the Ultimate Fallout 4. I bought a rare for 300 back then, and then I bought a couple of the commons. I think it's been a minute. And look, everything changes. As we said, we're early, and that was a while ago. I haven't done the test again, but I had more ROI spending the 300 and several commons versus the one rare.
Yeah,
we did a video on that.
We did that video.
That could have already changed. I don't know, but you know, we're still.
We said the same thing.
Yeah.
We said the same
so
thing.
that's, you know, I saw that and I was like, oh, I don't know. And then, you know, I'm looking at just me personally, you know, I'm just one dude, you know, but everybody in the chat, we are sitting down with superstar money. We got Joe and Rob in the building. Link has been pinned. So go subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, go. Cameron, I see you in the chat. What up? Fast Eddie, everybody, Sandals Nation, Brandon Z. If you're not subscribed already, go subscribe. We're here on the tail end of the interview. It's been a banger as usual. So We spoke about bots. Unfortunately, it's a thing. Do you think that Veve will be able to get rid of them? And I know the whole virtual lobby drop system. I'm not even sure if that's going to work. I think people are going to just go and create a bunch of accounts if they can, if you can. If they make it that you have to verify your identity, then obviously that's something else.
I think that's the killer right there. If they can come out with some KYC and get that going, that'll really help with the bots, I think, because they're not going to be able to do it. They're not going to be able to provide all those passports or driver's licenses that they require, right?
Yes, they can.
They can, right?
Sure.
I guess they have.
It's called KYC data farms.
Oh yeah, so now they have. They think of everything. These guys,
like here in New York City or any other major city, you have
fake
people,
ID.
Right. There's credit card scams and all. So to get a full credit card, I got to show driver's license and all of that. There's people who sell personal data all the time. People go missing all the time. People's information gets stolen. You got data breaches. There's people, so there's people who the more you commit to a digital world, the more you commit to someone being able to fraudulently create a person that doesn't even exist, because everything becomes numbers and nothing is physically accounted for.
So I think that's Dr. Strange. That's a good point, and it reminded me of something. So first of all, but with MCP and KYC, it's still going to help. But what you just said reminded me of someone I met, actually in Barbados. I met him, and he was from Toronto. Believe it or not, I told you we are everywhere. He was from Toronto. His family, he told me, was still here. He said that anything that's man-made can always be cracked. So, are there going to be people out there capable of cheating the Veve system, no matter what they do? I think the answer is yes. But I think that with what is starting to come out, because this is pretty easy right now, you can sign up and you can just click a button with the KYC and with the MCP program. It's going to make it a little bit harder, and you'll probably filter out some of those bots. I don't know if it's going to filter enough that they're not going to be a significant group like they are now that are capable of getting in there and really just making the community just rip their hair out. But I guess we'll see.
So in your version of what's going to happen, you're saying that when they switch to a queue system, that's supposed to shake off whoever, so you that there's a whole bot community and separate bot groups, right? So per member in that one group, they're using 8 to 10 devices probably. That's just one person. So, I don't know if you're aware, but these groups have already prepared for the queue system. They already are waiting for it to come. They're not going to react to it. They already have scripts waiting for them to do it.
Yeah.
So in that situation, especially with them recruiting at this point, people to join and I was just on eBay today, and I was just curious if you could buy Veve stuff off of eBay still. And because at one point they didn't want NFTs or any digital stuff sold on there. And now it's back up and running. And I saw people not only selling gems on eBay, I saw people selling different versions of bots on eBay.
Yeah.
You can get one just for blind boxes and all.
Yeah. I do agree with you, actually. That's my point, right? Like anything that Veve comes up with, there's going to be actors that are going to be fully capable, but it's going to be a game of cat and mouse. It has to be. They're going to change. They're going to filter out some of them. Then those guys are going to adapt. Then Vive's going to have to adapt.
Evolution.
It's just going to be a game of cat and mouse. So I guess the ultimate answer is, can they ever eliminate the problem? And I think from our discussion right now, the answer would be they can never eliminate the problem, but only hope to consistently improve it.
That brings up a good point, because I was thinking about this actually earlier. When we do scale, right now we're at whatever 1.5, 1.6 million active users. When we do scale to 10 million, in order to do that, you're going to have incentive for the other 9 million that show up, right? So they're going to have to be able to get a piece of the pie. So when that does happen, are we going to, I guess, these are what my thoughts are. Are they going to be putting out a drop every hour, or are they going to be increasing the drop lots, or both? What do you guys think for that?
Well, a long time ago, I came up with the answer to at least throw bots off,
Yeah.
which was, and they almost cracked the code, but they didn't get it right because they ain't got me working there. But they scratched the surface by saying, "Hey guys, we'll do 2 drops in one day."
At the same time.
No,
Yeah.
see what'll break somebody's back is when you do 2 totally different drops at the same time.
Mhm.
And not
Yeah.
only that, but make them the ones where you have to click on which one you're going for.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Those are the
Yes.
drops that you smash together. And basically, I hate to say it, but I'm not gonna front, man. I'm getting a little worried right now because I understand what selling out does, man. And what I mean by selling out, you know, when you're a musician, there's different ways you sell out. You can sell out. And in this situation, Top Shot sold out. You know what I'm saying? They went for the quick cash and the money, upfront money, and oversaturated the market at the expense of the collectors. And I understand that David, you as a serious collector and understands the collectability and not oversaturating the market, but they're walking a very fine line when you're talking about doing multiple drops every day. And that's what they're talking about doing. And you can do that if the drops are totally different from each other. So if you're doing a collectibles drop and a comic drop and an accessories drop, and then some other type of, fine. But you're walking that fine line. That's all I'm just saying. Like, you got to
Yeah.
really be careful, because if you up the mint count trying to satisfy bots and how much people's on the app, it's gonna you're oversaturating and you're oversaturating them
Yeah.
from different perspectives. So
Spreading it out. Yeah.